So, good day everyone. We are Group 3 and today we will discuss the topic A World of Ideas. So, we all know that globalization is the process of increasing interdependence among nations at nakikita natin to sa paglago ng cross-border trade in goods and services. Tulad ng goods and services nga, ang mga ideas din ay dumadaloy din across borders at well underway na ang globalization nila. So, like for example, mula sa US papuntang China, nagte-trade ang mga tao ng idea sa lahat at lahat sila is nakikinabang. So, next. So, for our learning objectives, I define ideas, culture, media, religion, and localization. Describe how ideas and culture flow globally through different forms of media. Identify the 5 stages of media development and their role in globalization. Explain the outcomes of cultural globalization, differentialism, convergence, and hybridity. So analyze how local and global cultures interact through globalization and discuss how globalization affects religion, including conflict and peace. Next. So what is an idea? Next. So ideas is a set of instruction to produce a new good to increase quality or to reduce cost. An idea is different from a good or services because it is non-rival. It can be used by different producers simultaneously. Therefore, an idea is not scarce in the same way that a good or services is scarce. So, ibig sabihin ng idea ay isang set ng instruction or knowledge na pwede mong gamitin para makagawa ka ng bagong bagay. Uso para mapabuti yung quality ng isang product and mabawasan ng gastos sa paggawa. So, ang idea is nakaka-help siya in many ways kasi it allows people and businesses to improve and innovate and of course solve problems. So ideas din ang nagtutulak ng economic growth at innovation globally. Kapag maraming bansa ang nag-share at nag-a-adapt ng ideas, mas mabilis yung paggawa ng better products and mas efficient ang production at mas maraming opportunities ang nabubuo para sa businesses at workers. So madaling sabi, sa globalization, ideas are like currency of wait nga lang.
Say Labi and Bumi Chanel. Maui Wawi. Ay, kawawa ka naman. So sad. Tagaytay tayo.
I'm sorry.
Hindi ka nakita. Ay, oo, kita.
Again
Kita,
na.
kawawa! Umalis ka dyan! Hoy, nahulog yung cellphone.
Sorry, God. Isa pa. Good day, everyone. We are Group 3 and today we will
Di
discuss...
pa niya nalilipat. Wait lang. Di pa niya nalilipat.
sorry.
Wait lang. Kalma ka lang, te.
Ito na. Good day, everyone. We are Group 3 and today we will discuss the topic, A World of Ideas. So, we all know that globalization is the process of increasing interdependence among nations at nakikita ito sa ng cross-border trade in goods and services. Tulad ng goods and services, ang mga ideas din ay dumadaloy din across borders at well underway na ang globalization nila. Like for example, mula sa US papuntang China, nagtitrade ang mga tao ng ideas and lahat is nakikinabang. Next. So, for our learning objectives, we will define ideas, culture, media, religion, and localization, and describe how ideas and culture flow globally through different forms of media. Identify the 5 stages of media development and their role in globalization. Explain the outcomes of cultural globalization, differentialism, con- convergence, and hybridity, and analyze how local and global culture interact through globalization, and discuss how globalization affects religion, including conflict and peace. Next. So, what is an idea? Next. So, ideas is a set of instruction to produce a new good and to increase quality or to reduce cost. So, ang idea is different from a good and services kasi it is non-rival. It can be used by different producers simultaneously. Therefore, an idea is not scarcity in the same way that a good or services is scarcity. So, ang idea ay isang set nga ng instructions or knowledge na pwede mong gamitin para makagawa ng bagong bagay. Also, para mapabuti yung quality ng isang product and mabawasan ng gastos sa paggawa. So, ang idea is nakaka-help. Nakaka-help siya in many ways kasi it allows people and businesses to improve and innovate and solve problems. So, ideas din ang nagtutulak ng economic growth at innovation globally. Kasi kapag maraming bansa ang nag-share at nag-a-adapt ng ideas, mas mabilis yung paggawa ng magandang products and mas efficient ang production. At mas marami opportunities ang nabubuo para sa business at workers. So, sa madaling sabi, sa globalization, ideas are like the currency of progress kasi nakakatulong sila para mag-improve ang quality of life at business performance sa buong mundo. So, ang ideas also encourage collaboration sa global level. Kapag maraming bansa at tao ang pwedeng gumamit ng parehong idea, mas maraming pwedeng gumawa ng bagong solution o innovation ng sabay-sabay. So, now let's proceed to the global flows of ideas. Next. So, the global flows of ideas is apparent in the computer, smartphone, e-readers, and MP3 players, MP4, and other technologies that fill out everyday lives. Measuring the productions of ideas and their flow is not easy, and ideas are intangible. So, alam naman natin halos lahat ng gadget natin nowadays, like computer, smartphone, yun nga yung e-readers, MP3, and MP4 players ay gawa sa ideas na nanggagaling sa iba't ibang bansa. So, ito yung tinatawag nating global flows of ideas. Parang dumadalo yung idea sa buong mundo para magamit ng maraming tao. Pero mahirap sukatin yung ideas kasi this is intangible. Hindi mo siya mahahawakan o mabibilang tulad ng physical goods. Pero para malaman kung gaano karaming ideas ang nagagawa at ginagamit, gumagamit ang mga inventors at scientists ng idea certificates or patent nila kung tawagin. Ito yung proof na ang idea is sa kanila. Parang certificate of ownership. Ito yung nagsasabi na sa kanilang idea yon. So, sa ganung paraan, masusundan natin kung paano dumadala yung ideas globally. Ang maganda sa ideas is pwede siyang maggamit ng maraming tao ng sabay-sabay. Hindi tulad ng materials or tools na limited lang. Like for example, kung may bagong paraan ng paggawa ng gadget or device, pwede na rin siyang magamit sa iba't ibang bansa. Kaya sinasabi natin na ang flow ng ideas ay kasing importante ng idea mismo. Kapag mas maraming gumagamit kasi mas magiging valuable siya at mas nakakatulong sa economic growth at innovation ng buong mundo. Tuhan ng culture nila tulad ng fashion, language, or lifestyle. Bukod kasi sa media, malaking role din ang technology sa pagpapabilis ng globalization. Ang technology kasi is nagpapa-facilitate ng mabilis na communication. So dahil dito mas maraming share at ma-access ng mga tao sa ibang bansa ang content ng social media. Kaya masasabi natin globalized ang media. Sa madaling salita, media at technology together ang nagpapapel ng globalization. Ang media is hindi lang siya basta-basta pang entertainment. Kasi, ayun nga, it's also carries culture, ideas, and knowledge to different parts of the world. Kaya nowadays, halos lahat ng media product is global na. At mas mabilis silang nasa-share at nakaka-influence sa ibang tao sa iba't ibang bansa. So now, let's proceed to the next po. So what is culture? Next. So culture refers to unified style of human knowledge, beliefs, and behavior from people learn and ability to communicate knowledge to the next generation. Its development has been mainly influenced by media. So sa madaling salita, ito yung paraan kung paano natututo ang mga tao tungkol sa mundo, sa kanilang values at sa mga bagay na importante for them. So bukod dito, culture doesn't more than just learn kasi people also have the ability to pass on knowledge to the next generation. So ibig sabihin na ang natututunan ng isang tao is pwede din nilang i-share sa iba para magamit din nila in the future. Isa sa pinakamalaking factors sa development ng culture ay ang media. So, ang media tulad ng TV, internet, at social media, it help also to share the knowledge and at behavior sa mga maraming tao. So, in that way, mas mabilis na yung pag-spread ng culture at mas marami ang makaka-access sa knowledge and information. Next, historically, media underwent 5 stages of development from the earliest form of complex. This stage affect globalization. So according to 2014, media have 5 stages of development from the earliest form to the complex one. Next, the first stage is next. Oral communication. So language became the most important tool for exploring the world and the different cultures. Oral communication led to markets, trade, and cross-continental trade routes. So language and culture are closely connected. So particular language usually represent a specific group of people. Like for example, kapag nakikipag-interact ka gamit ang ibang language, you're also interacting with the culture of the people who speak that language. You cannot fully understand someone's culture without examining their language directly kasi language is learned, which means it can be culturally transmitted. So human culture are as diverse as the language of the world. Kaya natural na nagbabago rin sila over time. So sa industrial countries naman, language changes happen more rapidly. So ang modern communication techniques or yung global broadcasting and um, translation service make knowledge accessible to people everywhere. And this allows for fast transfer and exchange of social and political and scientific knowledge. And the whole world benefits from this quick sharing of information. Next one. Next one is CRIP. So script allowed humans to communicate over a larger space and for a much longer duration. It allowed the permanent codification of economic, cultural, and religious and political practice. So, ang script dati ay isang paraan ng pagsusulat para ma-record yung importanteng information and ideas dati. Bago pa magkaroon ng modern books at computers, script talaga ginagamit ng mga tao para ma-record or masulat yung batas, yung trade records or religion practices and cultural traditions. So, dati ang script talaga yung kadalasang sinusulat sa clay tablets and etc. Pero depende sa lugar siya. So dahil dito, kahit lumipas na yung panahon, pwede pa rin mabasa at ma-access ang information. So sa madaling sabi, ang script dati is ang unang paraan ng permanent record keeping ng tao para maipasa sa susunod na generation. The third one is, next po. So the third one is printing press. So printing press allowed the continuation, production, reproduction, and circulation of print materials. Ayun. So the printing press allows the continuous production and circulation and printed materials. Pero bago pa yon, books, newspaper, and other written materials is kailangan pang mano-mano isulat. Kaya mabagal at limitado lang ang distribution ng materials dati. So, pero dahil sa printing press naman, maraming information and knowledge ang pwede nang ma-access ng mga maraming tao sa mas mabilis na paraan. So, this development affected globalization dahil nga nata-transfer ito sa iba't ibang institution tulad ng school, markets, business, and other pa. So, ayun nga, in short, ang printing press is nagpasimula ng mas mabilis na pag-spread ng ideas at knowledge na nakakatulong para mas madaling ma-share at matuto ang iba't ibang society sa buong mundo. So, the next reporter would be explained, Hannah.
Okay, next po. Yeah. So, hey everyone, I'm Anna, and today I'm going to talk about the first is electronic media. So, ito pong stage was really important na kasi it came na po with the use of electricity, which completely changed how we communicate and share information. It includes telegraphs, telephone, radio, films, and televisions. Back in the day kasi these inventions, they were, very groundbreaking. Kasi it allows na us, people, to send messages across long distances pa in a way that, weren't possible before. Pero yung electronic media, hindi lang niya minake yung communication easier. It also had a big impact on politics, our economy, and culture. Like, for instance, yung television and radio, they were they were made para maging possible for people to follow news, political debates, and entertainment shows noon. And yung mga movies and films are also introduced then. So people to different cultures, lifestyle, and ideas from all over the world can know sa ibang cultures then. So basically, electronic media na-open niya yung new perspectives. Naka-open siya ng new perspectives, connected societies, and mas napahelp niya yung globalization to take shape. And ito yung stage which the world, ito na yung stage, kumbaga, where yung world natin ay mas naging smaller and connected. Next po. Next, let's move on to the digital media. So, which is, the type of media na ginagamit natin ngayon. So, digital media, nagre-rely siya sa mga digital codes, meaning yung mga content pwedeng ma-create, ma-stored, ma-modified, and ma-shared easily using computers, phones, and other digital devices. Like sa social media platforms, online videos, websites, and even sa mga ads. Politically speaking naman, digital media has changed the game. Diba? Candidates can now reach voters directly, they can share in other platforms, and pwede na rin sila maka-interact with people online. When it comes to economics naman, digital media has completely transformed businesses. Yung mga companies ngayon, they can now advertise products online, pwede na silang makasell ng mga items through e-commerce, and pwede rin sila makaprovide ng digital services globally. Also, yung mga social media influencers, they can now promote products na nag-shape ng consumer behavior. Ang key thing here is na ang digital media rather, is instant, interactive, and global. Nag-aalaw siya ng makashare ng information, ideas, and culture sa iba't ibang world. Next. So moving on, let's talk about media as the carrier of culture. So yung media, hindi lang siya nag-share ng information. Nag-share din siya about our cultures. It allows people po from different parts of the world na makapag-interact, makapag-exchange ng ideas, and maka-learn from each other. Pero ang one important thing here is ang real media is the actually people itself. You know, like yung mga marketers, di ba, they travel the world para makahanap or to find cultural products. Mga managers, they create platforms na for cultural interactions. And yung mga ibang people, they simply share culture kasi para sa kanila, it's beautiful or meaningful. So, Bayeteers, he is a cultural scholar. Sinasabi niya na globalization of culture is nakaka-lead to the three main outcomes, which is cultural differentialism, cultural convergence, and cultural hybridity. So this help us ma-understand how culture responds sa globalization, whether ba by staying distinct, becoming similar, or blending together. Now we will take a look at that na po. Next. Wow. Next. Yan. First is cultural differentialism. So, ito na po yung idea that some cultural differences ay permanent. Hindi sila basta-basta nawawala kapag may ibang culture na nakaka-interact. Like, when Western and non-Western civilizations come into contact, sometimes kasi there's conflicts or mga clashes ng ideas. For example, sa pagkakaiba ng religion, values, or tradition, pwede siyang mag-lead sa isang misunderstanding or even tension. So this shows that globalization hindi siya automatically minimake lahat maging same. Instead, yung ibang cultural identities, nagre-remain silang strong and unchanged. Nag-highlight na importance sa pag-respect ng cultural differences while still interacting globally. Next po. Pa-back. Next. Okay, so next we have the cultural hybridity. And ito naman, it's about mixing cultures na para maka-create ng something new. So, ang clear example nito is Chabacano. It is a Spanish bread po na nag-create ng language nakaka-create ng language sa Zamboanga City and some parts of Cavite. Itong language is nag-emerge po from the blend of Spanish and Filipino culture. So, ayan. Yung hybridity, hindi lang siya nangyayari sa isang language. It also appears din sa mga food, passions, arts, and music. Like for instance, yung mga Filipino dishes. Pwede silang mag-incorporate ng some spices or ibang cooking methods from another countries. Or ibang cultures na nag-create ng unique flavors. So, cultural hybridity po shows that globalization, hindi lang siya about copying other cultures. It's all about, creating new. or dynamic forms ng iba't ibang culture na constantly nag-evolve siya at nakaka-adapt. Next po. So finally, we have localization. So itong word na po ito, naggaling siya sa combination ng globalization and localization. Nangyayari to when local and global cultures interact at nag-influence sila. In-influence nito yung each other. So, ang important thing lang here is about localization is na it shows how it shows local cultures ay hindi siya weak or static. Sila ay nakaka-adapt and grow. And even as mga global ideas and practices comes in, local cultures reinterpret and transform them para makamake ng kanilang own traditions and identity. So every day, local communities nakaka-blend sila sa mga global influences with their own customs at sila'y nakaka-create ng new cultural expressions. So, globalization, pinuprove nito na, na globalization, hindi niya ina-erase totally ang culture. Kumbaga, it just reshapes it para makamake ng more dynamic and interesting culture and stuff. So, it's like the best of both worlds, staying local while also still connecting globally. Next po. Next reporter po.
So, good day everyone. Today I'll be reporting about the globalization of religion. Basically, explain ko po dito kung paano naapektuhan ng globalization ang religion at kung paano rin nagbabago ang religious beliefs and practices dahil mas connected na po ang mundo ngayon. So, hindi naman lingid sa kaalaman natin na ang religion has been always a big part of human life. It includes our culture system, beliefs, worldviews, lahat connected na sa atin sa spiritual and moral values. Kaya nga sinasabi na religion is one of the foundation of modern society kasi malaki na talaga ang influence niya sa behavior and decision ng mga tao. So before anything else, let's clarify what religions actually mean. So religions isn't just about worshiping a god or gods. Kasama dito yung mga practice natin about morals, prophecy, ethics, organization. So basically lahat ay nag-relate sa tao and something supernatural, supernatural or spiritual. Kaya ang religion becomes a guide for us people na it tells us what's right or wrong and it shapes our value at minsan pati yung personality nating mga tao is naapektuhan. Next slide po. So now let's proceed the globalizations of religion in the Philippines. Now let's talk about globalization of religion. Ang idea po dito is the world is shrinking. Ibig sabihin, mas connected na tayo. Mas mabilis ang communication at mas mabilis na ang exchange of ideas. Dahil dito, religion also spread and change in new ways. Katulad na lang po dito sa Pilipinas. Sobrang obvious naman po talaga ng effect ng religion. Mostly, Filipinos grow up with strong religious beliefs. It influenced our attitudes, characters, and perspective natin sa life. But this isn't just for Filipinos. Even developing countries and Western countries experience the same thing. Pero pero dahil globalized na tayo, mas mabilis nang naapektuhan ang religion ng international events and movements. According to, next po. According to Rodom Neto, 2014, globalization means worldwide interconnectedness. Ibig sabihin, po lahat ng aspect ng modern society is magkakaugnay na. And one of those aspects is religion. Sabi niya, religion can be personal or organized. Pero kahit anong form is naapektuhan ng globalization in four major ways. The first one is religious nationalism, and second is religion entering public life. Third is international terrorism, and lastly, the individual religiosity. And now I'm going to discuss the four effects. Next slide po. So, the first one is yung religious nationalism. Bale, ang unang effect po ay religious nationalism. So, nagsimula po ito after World War II. Religious nationalism is when a country national identity becomes connected to a specific religion. Parang nagiging part ng citizen yung nagiging member ng isang religion. Just for example po dito sa Pinas, minsan ang paggagawa ng batas ay naka-base na sa Christian beliefs ng mga lawmakers. Like noong 2018 po, dineclare ang National Bible, and sa Middle East naman po is Islamic beliefs and practices influence the laws and the government. So, dahil sa globalization po is nasa-strength yung connection ng religion and national identity. Next po. So, now let's proceed to religion entering public life. Second effect is the religion entering public life. So, dati, yung religion was mostly private lang. Meaning, personal beliefs lang siya or pang-community lang sa simbahan. Pero dahil sa globalization, religion started to enter public spaces like politics, social issues, at public debates. Ang good example nito ay Catholic liberation theology at Islamic fundamentalism. Excuse me po saglit. Excuse me po sa ano. Sorry po, maingay. Islamic vandalism. So, according po to Casanova, 1994, religions become more outspoken. Hindi lang siya tungkol sa sacraments or rituals, but it becomes involved sa issues ng poor and oppressed. So, to analyze, globalization made religion more active in public life, not in just private worship. Next po. The third effect naman po is the international terrorism. Medyo heavy na topic po siya, but dahil sa globalization, mabilis kumalat ang extremist belief. Ayon po kay Martin 2017, religious extremism is a type of political violence na nakabase sa belief na doing violence is fulfilling God's will. So, exterminist is think na violence the way to glorify their faith. Isang example po dito yung Marawi Siege sa Mindanao noong 2017. Yung conflict po is nag-last siya for 5 months, and influence po ito ng ISIS, a known extremist group. This shown that globalization affects both peaceful religious activities and harmful extremist movements. Next po. The last po is individual religiosity. Uh, uh, Globalization caused an increased individual religiosity. Ibig sabihin, mas marami na po yung mga tao ngayon na gumagawa ng sariling approach to religion. They rely on personal beliefs, on their own relationship with supreme being, and their individual spirituality. For some people, nag-start ito dahil sa frustrations nila sa institutionalized na religion. For others, they just don't want to join or commit to any religious organization. So, globalization encouraged people to explore religion more independently. Next reporter po, thank you.
So, good day everyone. I am Lovely A. Pasqua and today I will be explaining global migration in religion. So, global migration means na kapag lumilipat ang mga tao sa ibang lugar, dala nila yung religion nila. Dahil dito, kumakalat ang iba't ibang religious beliefs sa mga lugar. For example, mas pinipili nila ng mga migrants ang tradition sa homeland nila kaysa sa iba. Nag-a-adjust sila sa bagong culture sa bawat lugar na pinupuntahan nila. Sa ganitong paraan, nabubuo ang global religious networks. Ang mga community na pagkakapareho sa religion kahit sa iba't ibang parte ng mundo. Nakakaapekto rin ito sa local culture at sa identity ng tao. Pinapakita kung paano nagbabago-bago at nag-a-adjust ang religion habang mas nagiging connected ang mundo. Next slide po, please. So what is the deterioration of religion? Meaning religion is no longer tied to one specific place, country, or territory. In the past, many religions were strongly connected to their homeland, like sacred lands, temples in certain countries, or tradition based only on one culture. Pero ngayon, because of globalization, migration, and technology, religion can spread, move, and exist anywhere. People can practice their faith kahit saan sila magpunta, and religious ideas travels easily to different parts of the world. So, based kay Radomelf 2024, nagbabago ngayon ang connection ng religion sa lugar dahil sa globalization. Dati kasi yung isang religion lang, madalas nakafocus lang siya sa iisang lugar. For example, di ba sa Islam, Islam sa Middle East, Christianity sa Europe, Hinduism sa India. Pero ngayon, dahil marami ang tao ang lumilipat ng bansa para magtrabaho, mag-aral, at manirahan, dala na nila yung kanilang religious belief. Kaya nakikita na natin ng mga Islam sa Europe, Catholic churches sa Middle East, at iba't ibang religion sa iba't ibang bansa. Halo-halo na sila. Ito yung tinatawag na derotation kung saan ang religion hindi na nakakulong sa isang territory. Ibig sabihin, kahit umalis ng tao sa homeland nila, hindi nawawala ang faith. Sa halip, kumakapit pa mismo sila sa mga bagong lugar or dun sa faith nila. Kahit saan man sila magpunta, mas kumakapit yung religious belief nila. Pinapakita nito kung gaano kalakas ang epekto ng globalization sa pagkakalat at halo-halo ng religious practices sa buong mundo. Next page po. So, what is religious attachment and migration? Basically, religious attachments means how strongly a person is connected to their religion. Ito yung level ng faith, loyalty, at emotional connection nila sa kanilang religion. Kung gaano sila ka-committed, ka-active, at kung gaano kalaki ang role ng religion sa buhay nila. Isa sa halimbawa nito is yung regular na pagpunta sa church, sa mosque, or sa temple. Malakas ang faith at rituals, tapos super close sila kay God or sa spiritual community. Migration means moving from one place to another, pwedeng within the country or to another country. Based kay Apaduray 1990, kahit lumipat ang migrant sa ibang bansa, malakas pa rin ang attachment nila sa religion at culture ng homeland nila. Hindi sila napuputol sa dati nilang buhay, kundi lumalawak ang connection nila dahil may communication, remittance, at online platforms. Halimbawa, maraming Indians abroad na nagpapadala ng pera sa mga Hindu temple sa India. Sumasali pa rin sila sa festivals at nakakakonect pa rin sila sa mga politics sa homeland nila. Dahil dito, minsan ang religion ng migrants ay nakaka-impluwensya din sa homeland pati sa political issues tulad ng pag-angat ng Hindu fundamentalism. Pinapakita ni Apaduray na ang religion na hindi basta-basta nawawala sa migrant. Mas nagiging global at mas malawak ang network nito. Ang resulta nito ay isang religion sa isang lugar na aabot ng mga tao yung buong mundo at kaya nilang magkaroon ng global religion community. Next po. Next is, what is Easternization of the West? Basically, Easternization of the West is the process where Western countries start to adapt and embracing different ideas, practices, and cultural influence na galing sa Eastern or Asian societies. Ibig sabihin, unti-unti nang pumapasok ang Western lifestyle. Ang mga bagay na originally mula sa Asia, like philosophies, tradition, food, entertainment, at religions, and even ways of thinking. So, based kay according to Campbell 2007, nagbabago na rin ang flow ng religious influence. Dati, ang West ang pinaka-powerful na nagpapalaganap ng religion tulad ng Christianity. Pero ngayon, dumadami na ang Westerns na humahanap ng spiritual guidance galing sa Asian religion tulad ng Buddhism, Confucianism at iba pa. Ang tawag dito is Easternization of the West, kung saan ang spiritual ideas mula sa East ay pumapasok na sa Western culture. Maraming Western people ang naghahanap ng peace, clarity, and self-improvement, kaya nagme-meditate sila. Nagpa-practice ng yoga at nag-a-adapt sa Eastern belief. Dahil sa globalization at internet, mas madaling natututunan ng mga teachings. Kaya ngayon, hindi lang ang West ang nagpapalaganap ng religion. Pareho na nagbibigay at tumatanggap ang East at West. Nagpapakita ito na open ang mga tao sa iba't ibang belief system dahil mas connected na ang mundo. Next is transportation of region. So basically, transportation of region, like technologies, migration, globalization, and cultural exchange are shaping the way people practice, understand, and experience religion. Sa madaling salita, dahil sa madalas na pagbabago sa mundo, nagbabago rin ang anyo, role, at meaning ng religion sa buhay ng mga tao. Ngayon, religion is no longer limited to traditional ways or specific places. Global trends make religion more flexible, mixed, and accessible. Halimbawa, dahil sa internet, people can join online worship, listen to sermons, changes when people move to new countries. They bring their religion with them, and sometimes they also adapt to new beliefs or combine tradition. Mas accessible sa kanila to kasi kaya nilang makanood sa online through Facebook, then yung mga discoveries sa iba't ibang bansa, nakikita na nila kahit iba't ibang religion. So ayon kay Rodemelf 2014, ang religion ngayon ay naaapektuhan hindi lang ng migration, kundi na rin sa modern lifestyle, culture, at technology. Ang isa sa pinakamalaking pagbabago ay ang paggamit ng social media ng mga religious leaders. For example, si Joel Osteen or si Kirk Cameron. Nagpo-post ng mga spiritual message siya online pero dahil sa social media, hindi na kailangan pumunta sa church para maninig ang mga religious na teachings nila. Isang click lang nila, nakikita na agad. Global audience na ang naaabot ng pagpo-post nila sa social media. So, hindi na kailangan pumunta sa church para lang maging religious ka. Pwede na tayong mag-check sa mga online para mas connected tayo. Isa pang trend ay yung mga economism, kung saan nag-work together at ang iba't ibang Christian groups para magkaisa tulad ng Catholic to Orthodox theology noong 2006 para ayusin ang matagal na nilang pagkakaiba. Pinapakita nito na religion ngayon marunong na mag-adjust sa modern world, mas open, mas network, at gumagamit na ng mga digital tools para maging mas malawak ang reach. Next, So, sa kabuuan, malaki ang nagbabago sa religion dahil sa globalization at paglilipat-lipat ng tao. Hindi na nakastay sa isang lugar ang belief. Kumakalat na ito sa iba't ibang bansa. Ang mga nagmamigrate ay nagdadala ng religion nila at minsan binabago din nila ito. Dahil sa technology at social media, mas mabilis kumalat ang religious messages. Kaya ngayon, ang religion ay mas global, mas mapabago, at mas nakaka-adjust sa modern world. Next reporter po.
Localization is galing sa pagsasama ng globalization, meaning is pandaigdig, at localization is pagkaangkop sa lokal. So, ibig sabihin nito is na kahit international o global ang negosyo, na-adjust pa rin nila ang product, services, or strategies para bumagay sa culture, state, lifestyle, at needs ng mga tao sa isang specific na lugar. So, parang ganito siya. Global brand na sila, pero local yung vibe ng product. Example is isang fast food chain na kilala sa buong mundo, pero nag-o-offer ng menu na swak sa panlasa ng mga Pilipino. So, ganun po yung localization. Kapag kapag naghalo yung relihiyon at kultura, nagkakaroon ng global-local religion. Ibig sabihin, may pinanggagalingang pandaigdig na relihiyon, pero inaangkop ito sa lokal na kaugalian at tradisyon. So, ayon kay Rodom Metop, 2014, may 4 na paraan kung paano nagaganap ang localization sa relihiyon. First is vernacularization. Ibig sabihin, yung paghalo ng isang relihiyon na galing sa ibang bansa or universal religion sa lokal na wika na isang lugar, parang ina-adapt nila yung mga aral, sal, o teksto para mas maintindihan ng mga tao doon. Nung sinaunang panahon, mas common ito kasi maraming lipunan ang hindi marunong bumasa at sumulat. So, kung ano yung wikang gamit ng sagradong teksto nila doon, kaya nilang i-express yung religion. Parang limitado lang sa iisang wika yung religious text. Kaya hindi pa ganun ka-accessible sa lahat. So, yung pinakamalinaw na example dito ay yung sa Islam. Yung kahit saan ka magpunta, Indonesia, Turkey, Pakistan, iba-iba sila ng wika. Pero kapag dasal, Arabic pa rin. Kaya kahit hindi sila Arab, ginagamit pa rin nila ito kapag nagdadasal o nagbabasa ng Quran. So, next is nationalization. Next is indigenization. So, sa ganito naman, yung indigenization, ito yung proseso kung saan inaangkop ng isang relihiyon, usually galing sa labas ang kultura, tradisyon at mga ritual ng lokal na komunidad o katutubong grupo. Para bang hinahaluan nila yung relihiyon ng mga nakasanayang kaugalian ng mga tao doon para mas maging akma at mas relatable. Isipin mo na may dumarating na bagong relihiyon sa isang lugar, hindi nila basta-basta pinapalitan agad. Instead na ina-adjust nila ito para pumasok at sumabay sa kultura ng mga tao. Kaya nagiging parang pinaghalong old traditions at bagong paniniwala. So, isang example dito is yung Brazil at Caribbean. Doon, nagsama yung mga traditional na ritual at paniniwala ng African tribes na Kristyanismo. Kaya kahit Kristiyano sila, marami pa ring ritual, sayaw at paniniwalang nanggagaling sa sinauuk ng African culture. Parang may fusion, hindi totally nawala yung luma, pero nakasama siya sa bago. Kung mas simple pa, pinaghalo yung relihiyon at lokal na kultura para mas bagay sa komunidad. Nagawa ito mas malapit sa puso at mas madaling tanggapin ng mga tao dahil nakikita nila ang sarili nilang tradisyon sa loob ng isang relihiyon. Next is nationalization. Pag sinabi namang nationalization, it's sa itong konteksto ng relihiyon na yung proseso kung saan ginagamit ang relihiyon para makatulong sa pagbuo ng isang bansa o bansang identidad. Parang nagsama ang relihiyon at nasyonalismo, kaya nagiging pati ang pagkakakilanlan ng buong bansa ang paniniwalang panrelihiyon. So, if iisipin mo, nangyayari ito kapag ginagamit ng isang bansa ang relihiyon bilang symbol. So, parang sinasabing ito na ang relihiyon na kinakatawan ng bansa natin o kaya naman dito humuhugot ng kasaysayan, pagkakaisa at shared identity ng mga tao. So, example dito is yung Church ng England sa United Kingdom. Hindi lang siya basta simbahan. Nakaugnay ito sa mismong estado, kaya nagiging bahagi siya ng kultura, politika, at mismong pagkatao ng bansa. Parang kasabay nito yung pagiging British. May idea ka rin na konektado sila sa relihiyong iyon. So, in a simple words po, ginagamit ang relihiyon para tumibay yung sense of unity ng mga tao. Parang ganito ang dating ito ang relihiyon natin bilang bansa at ito ang isa sa mga bagay na pag-uugnay sa atin. So basically, ginawa ang nationalization na parang highlight ng identity ng isang bansa ang relihiyon. So last is transnationalization. So nangyayari ito naman kapag may mga tao na nakatira na sa ibang bansa. Pero hindi sila totally napuputol sa pinanggagalingan nila. Hindi sila nawawala sa kultura nila, hindi rin sila lubusang napapabilang sa bagong bansa. Para bang nasa gitna sila, pero tuloy pa rin yung dalawang connection. So, isa sa mga host country kung saan sila nakatira ngayon at isa pa sa home country ng pinanggalingan nila. So, ang interesting dito is hinahalo nila yung tradisyon, kultura at paraan ng pamumuhay mula sa dalawang lugar. Kaya nagkakaroon sila ng bagong klase ng identity. Parang hybrid sila. Pero hindi purely yung kultura. Hindi rin purely yung isang kundi combination ng dalawa. So, example dito is yung Pilipinong nasa ibang bansa or nakatira sa US or sa Dubai. Pero kumakain pa rin sila ng Filipino food. Nagsasalita pa rin sila ng Tagalog, nanonood pa rin sila ng teleserye, nagdiriwang pa rin sila ng Pasko, ng Every Pinoy Style, pero at the same time, naka-adapt din sila ng lifestyle sa ibang bansa kung nasaan sila nakatira. So, ang ending, parang may dalawang mundo sila na ginagalawan. Yung mga tao na nasa ibang bansa, pero hindi pa rin nawawala yung ugnayan nila sa kultura nila. Kaya, araw-araw, pinaghahalo yung identity nila bilang tao sa bagong bansa at bilang tao sa sarili nilang pinagmulan. So, next reporter.
So, um, let's continue the discussion. So, globalization of religion, conflict and peace. Sa globalization, religion plays a double-sided role. So, nagko-contribute siya ng global conflict and nagpo-promote din siya ng global peace. So, globalization allows religious belief and practices to spread across the borders faster than ever na siya. Through media or travel and online communication, people from different countries interact more frequently. Nagli-lead siya sa understanding or misunderstanding. Sa isang banda naman, religion can trigger tension when belief clash. So, for example, may iba't iba tayong paniniwala and doon nagkakaroon ng misunderstanding. Especially yung belief mo is strongly tied to identity tsaka sa culture mo. Sometimes, nagkikreate siya ng competition or hostility among groups, or especially when religion is used to justify political agendas or cultural superiority. So, on the other hand, religion also has strong potential to build peace. So, many world religions promote compassion, forgiveness, and unity. Globalization allow religious leaders na mag-collaborate ng humanitarian work or peace missions or intercultural dialogue. Dahil sa pag-uusap or pagkaka-operate ng iba't ibang religious communities, nagre-reduce siya ng prejudice and nagpo-promote siya ng respect across ng mga cultures. Next po. So, religion as a cause of global conflict. Wait lang po saglit. Sorry po, maingay. So, religion as a cause of global conflict. When na-misuse yung religion or extremists or radical groups na to justify violent action, instead pinopromote mo yung peace, na they use religion as a reason to attack or control others. Halimbawa is yung London Bridge attack noong 2007 and yung Marawi siege sa Pilipinas at conflicts in Israel and tsaka yung India when kung saan yung religion is na-use siya to give a sense of moral authority sa kanilang actions. So these attackers often claim that they are fulfilling God's will, pero in reality, it is also about power tsaka sa identity nila and sa control na makukuha nila. So, ginamit nila and misuse ang religion to make the world perceive it as a source of violence, even if the original teachings promote peace and harmony. Next po. Root cause of religious conflict. So, religion become a source of global conflict kasi nga when different beliefs turn into hostility, yung conflicts nag-a-arise when group feel threatened or marginalized or disrespected dahil sa religion nila. And sa ibang bansa, may mga conflict ng political root na ginagamit ang religion para maging malakas and justification. This makes the conflict appear deeper and more emotional. So, major global issues such as terrorism, civil wars, and ethnic conflicts sometimes involve religion, not because religion promotes violence, but because extremist groups manipulate religious teachings to gain follower or justify harmful actions. So, public misunderstanding also worsen the action. So, dahil doon, especially when media highlights negative events, tsaka nagkikreate siya ng fear between religious communities, nagkakaroon ng misunderstanding, kaya nag-worse siya. Pero, it is important na maintindihan na most religious people are peaceful. Conflict happens dahil hindi naman sa religion itself lang, but because sa mga political motives nila, sa social inequality or historical tension. So, globalization only make these conflicts more visible worldwide na nag-aalaw sa mga tao from different countries to witness and mag-react agad-agad. Next po. So, religion as a source of global peace. Despite sa mga iba't ibang conflicts, ang religion nagre-remains one of the stronger sources of global peace. Kasi many international peace movements are founded on religious principles such as compassion, justice, forgiveness, and solidarity. So, nagbibase sila sa faith ng organization across the world work together to address poverty or yung mga war or natural disaster tsaka yung human rights issues. So sa panahon ngayon, interfaith dialogue has become more popular na. Nag-i-involve siya ng mga leaders from different religions to magkaroon ng meeting na mag-discuss ng shared values and maki-operate and promote peaceful coexistence. So, dahil sa globalization, these peace dialogues can be shared online, inspiring millions of people worldwide. So, religious teaching also encourage empathy tsaka respeto sa ibang tao. So, pag yung mga tao naintindihan na kahit magkaiba ang religion nila, they also share naman yung common values nila like integrity nila, yung kabaitan, tsaka yung community support. And mas malawak ang peace effort ng mga religious groups. And globalization makes this easier na kinokonek niya yung mga tao from different cultures and nagpo-promote siya ng global mindset of unity rather than division. And that's all. Next po for Miss Diamos.
So, good day everyone. So, now I will be discussing global citizenship. Next po. So, learning objectives. This section presents the concept of different citizens as member of global village. Ipinapakita dito na kahit iba-iba yung citizenship natin is bahagi pa rin tayo ng isang global village. So, ibig sabihin, may shared roles at responsibilities tayo bilang isang miyembro ng iisang mundo. So, at the end of this section, you are expected to definition of global citizenship, historical perspective, citizenship, difference between global citizenship and global citizens, describe the characteristic of a global citizens, illustrate the most importance of global citizenships, and articulate a personal development of global citizenship. Next po. So ano nga ba yung global citizenship? So sinasabi dito na ang pagiging global citizenships ay nangangahulugan ng pagkilala sa konektadong buhay ng lahat ng tao sa mundo. So dito pumapasok ang respeto ng cultural diversity, human rights at pakikipagbaka sa global social justice o patas na pagtrato sa lahat. So kasama rin dito ang empathy o pag-unawa sa hirap na nararanasan ng iba kasi nasa ibang bansa sila. So, mahalaga rin dito na ang moral responsibility para sa ating mundo tulad ng pangangalaga sa kalikasan at pag-iwas sa mga gawain na nakakasira sa ating mundo. So, sinasabi rin dito na global citizenship can be defined as a moral and ethical mindset. So, ibig sabihin, ito ay paraan ng pag-iisip na tumutulong sa atin na maintindihan ang ating mga tungkulin sa lokal at global communities. So, para sa atin ito ay paalala na hindi lang tayo bahagi ng isang bansa, kundi sa mas malakas na komunidad. Next po. So, we have here historical perspective or citizenships. First, we have Romance. So, sa panahon ng Romance, ang citizenship ay nakabatay sa legal rights and duties. So, ibig sabihin, law base ang pagiging citizens nila. So, may karapatan sila legal dahil legal kang kinikilala ng states at may mga obligasyon ka rin dapat sundin. So, number 2 is European Middle Ages. So, dito naman, sinasabi na ang citizenships ay konektado sa secular life or hindi relihiyoso at commercial activities. Lalo na sa mga free cities, ang mga lungsod na ito ay parang mga early version ng global cities ngayon. So, maraming trade, travel, at cultural exchange. So, number 3 is ancient Israelites. So, para naman sa kanila, ang identity nila is nakabase sa kanilang tradition, wika, at paniniwala sa iisang Diyos. So, dahil dito, hindi nila ginagamit ang salitang citizens. Sa halip, nakikita nila ang sarili bilang miyembro ng isang tribo o komunidad na matibay na ugnayan sa isa't isa. Next po. So we have two views or citizenship or modern state. So first, we have liberal individualist view. So dito naman sinasabi ng ang citizens ay may karapatan at proteksyon mula sa state. So parang passive ang citizens dito, may karapatan at proteksyon sila sa state. Parang passive ang citizens dito, tumatanggap sila ng benefits tulad ng safety, justice, and freedom. While sa civic republican view naman is dito sinasabi na ang citizenship ay active. Dito mahalaga ang participation tulad ng pagboto, pag-volunteer, at pagsunod sa laws. Itinuturing ang citizens bilang may obligations, rights, and privilege na dapat ginagamit para sa ikabubuti ng komunidad. Next po. So global citizenship is not the same as a globalization. So, globalization, sinasabi dito na ang globalization ay isang economic process. Nakatuon ito sa paggalaw ng products, money, technology, people, and information sa iba't ibang bansa. Dahil sa modern technology, mas mabilis na ang international trade, travel, at communication. At may epekto na rin ito sa politika, kultura, trabaho, at pamumuhay. So, ang examples dito is yung overseas online shopping, international brands, or like Samsung, Nike, and global tech companies. Next po. So, ang global citizenship naman ay tungkol sa identity at value, hindi sa pera o negosyo. So, ang global citizens ay nagsisikap na mag-build ng bridges, bumawas ng conflict, at protektahan ang ikabubuti ng tao at sa ating mundo. So, ito ay pakiramdam na masasabi mong I belong to the world at hindi lang sa isang bansa. Next reporter po.
So, good day everyone. I am Janelle Rian O. Baluran. Now, let's talk about the characteristic of global citizenship. Next slide po. So, for the first one, letter A, awareness and understanding. For letter A, the first characteristic of global citizen is awareness and understanding. This means that a person recognizes that we live in an interconnected world. Kahit small actions natin dito sa local level, they can affect people in other countries. A global citizen understands how the world works socially, politically, economically, culturally, and even environmentally. So basically, meron siyang malawak na perspective na hindi lang na-confine sa sariling community or bansa. So for letter B, respect and value for diversity. Another important characteristic is respect and value for diversity. A global citizen appreciates different cultures, belief, and tradition. Hindi siya bias or mabilis mag-judge ng ibang tao, not just because iba sila or instead they try to understand and learn from those differences. This characteristic help us interact more respectively or with people from different backgrounds, which is essential in globalized world. Next slide po. So, sa letter C is social responsibility. This means that global citizens care about what's happening in society. They are aware of issues like inequality, discrimination, and even environmental problems. And more importantly to this is yung hindi lang issues like, hindi sila yung aware, they feel also responsible to contribute to solutions. They take accountability for their actions and they try to make choices that help create a fair and sustainable world. And for letter D, active participation in community. Hindi lang a global citizen also practices active participation. Hindi lang sila yung passive observers. They engage communities, local man or global, by contributing time, skills, and even simply showing cultural sensitivity. when interacting with others, since we meet people from different nationalities nowadays. Sobrang important to kasi nag-ability ng work with well with diverse group. This shows that a global citizens is involved and willing to make a positive impact. And lastly is yung open-mindedness. A global citizen is open to new ideas, different viewpoints, and unfamiliar cultures. Hindi sila easily threatened or closed off by differences. Education plays a big role here because it helps lessen prejudice and encourages individuals to see the world from a broader, more inclusively perspective. Being an open-minded naman is allows global citizenship to adapt, understand others better, and build harmonious relationship with people worldwide. Next slide po. So now let's talk about the importance of global citizenship. Letter A, we have promotes peaceful coexistence. Uh, this is important because it promotes peaceful coexistence. It helps individual understand and respect the lives, needs, and desire of people from different cultures. Kapag naiintindihan natin yung pinanggagalingan ng ibang tao, mas nagiging harmonious and interactions. And it also encourages cooperation instead of coercion, especially when it comes to sharing and using global resources. So instead of competing aggressively, global citizens focus on working together. And now let's talk about the letter B, which is the addresses global issues. Uh, the world today faces common threats like environmental problems, technological risks, and even concern about human survival. These are challenges na hindi kayang solusyonan ng isang bansa lang. Global citizenship encourage long-term thinking, meaning hindi tayo dapat maging self-centered or short-sighted. We need to consider the bigger picture and what benefits the world in the long run. So, for the letter C is holistic education. Yung holistic education, sinusuportahan to because is global citizenship education doesn't just teach academic knowledge. It also teaches life skills and values. Dito kasi yung pumapasok yung empathy, respect, communication skills, and even cultural awareness. Through this, learners are better prepared to interact with diverse groups, which is very important in a globalized society. Next po. And now we have letter D, the strengthened global perspective. It is strengthened our global perspective because we are living in an interconnected world where technology and communication constantly link us with people from different countries. Because of this, we need a mindset that goes beyond personal or national interests. Global citizenship encourages individuals to consider the well-being of the entire global community, not just their own immediate circle. And lastly is the sustainable human survival. Global citizenship is important for sustainable human survival. It helps people understand that all humans share one planet and that we need a symbiotic relationship with one another. It also this promote that idea that humankind must work together to sustain our resources, culture, and the environment. Without cooperation, I think hindi siya magtatagal sa human society. Next slide po. And now, lastly, is the personal definition of global citizenship. So, for my personal definition of global citizenship, it means being aware that we are part of a much larger global community. Hindi lang tayo confined sa sarili nating bansa or culture. Every action we can make affect people from different parts of the world. For me, being a global citizen also means respecting cultural diversity. Ibig sabihin nito is we acknowledge that people have different beliefs, tradition, and ways of living, and we treat those differences with understanding and respect. It also involves acting responsibly. Kasi hindi lang naman tayo dapat basta aware, we also try to make choices that contribute to a more just, fair, and sustainable society. And also, a global citizen understands global issues, whether social, environmental, or even economic, and is willing to take part in addressing them. Lastly, the definition of global citizenship is a global citizen values inclusivity and contributes positively to both local and international communities. So para sa akin, it is about using our knowledge, empathy, and awareness to make small but meaningful impact, not just for ourselves but for the world as a whole. And that's for all. Thank you.